My family told me my sister's wedding was just a small ceremony. Then I saw the guest list of 200 people. For 35 years, I was the family's reliable daughter, the one who organized every holiday, remembered every birthday, and never caused drama. But apparently, that meant I didn't matter enough for Jennifer's special day. What they didn't know was that I had been planning something bigger than their perfect wedding. By the time they realized I was gone, their whole celebration was unraveling. Sometimes the best gift you can give challenging family is your beautiful absence. I'm Amanda Wilson, and this is the story of how I discovered that being indispensable doesn't make you important. It just makes you invisible. It all started 6 months ago at our usual Sunday family dinner. Mom had made her famous pot roast, and Dad was going on about his golf game while Jennifer sat there practically glowing, twisting her new engagement ring around her finger. I was in the kitchen loading the dishwasher because that's what I always did when Mom came in with her excited whisper voice. "Amanda, honey, I need you to help me plan Jennifer's bridal shower. You know how good you are at organizing these things." I smiled and nodded, drying my hands on the kitchen towel. Of course she needed my help. I'd been organizing family events since I was 16. Every birthday party, every anniversary celebration, every holiday gathering, Amanda was the one who made it happen. I had spreadsheets for everything: vendor contacts, budget breakdowns, timeline schedules. I was basically the family's unpaid event coordinator. "I'd love to help, Mom. When's the wedding again?" "October 15th. We're keeping it small and intimate. Just close family and a few friends. Maybe 50 people max." Mom's voice had that dreamy quality she got when talking about her perfect daughter's perfect life. I should mention that Jennifer was always the golden child. Homecoming queen, sorority president, marketing executive with the corner office. Everything she touched turned to gold, while I was the steady one. The nurse who worked double shifts, paid off her student loans early, and somehow always had room in her budget to help family members in a pinch. "Small and intimate sounds perfect," I said, already mentally organizing the shower details. "I'll start reaching out to venues this week." Jennifer floated into the kitchen then, her engagement ring catching the light. "Oh, Amanda's helping with the shower? You're such a lifesaver. I'm just so overwhelmed with work and wedding planning." I hugged my sister, genuinely happy for her. Despite everything, I loved Jennifer. She was my baby sister, and seeing her this excited made my heart full. Of course I'm helping. That's what big sisters are for. Over the next few weeks, I threw myself into planning the perfect bridal shower. I found a beautiful venue, coordinated with the caterer, designed custom invitations, and even created a Pinterest board for decoration ideas. Everything was falling into place beautifully. But then I started noticing things. It was small at first, Jennifer mentioning a bridesmaid I'd never heard of, Mom talking about flower arrangements for the venue without specifying which venue, Dad casually mentioning something about hiring a photographer for the big day when I thought we were keeping things simple. The first real crack in my perfect family picture came when I was at Jennifer's apartment, helping her address shower invitations. Her laptop was open on the coffee table, and I couldn't help but notice she had about 15 browser tabs open, all wedding-related. "Wow, you're really going all out with the research," I laughed, gesturing at her screen. Jennifer quickly closed the laptop, but not before I caught a glimpse of what looked like a venue website. A very large, very expensive venue website. "Oh, you know me. I just like to look at pretty things," she said with a nervous laugh, "even though we're keeping it small." That night, curiosity got the better of me. I found myself scrolling through Jennifer's social media, looking for any clues about this small wedding. Her Instagram was carefully curated, lots of ring shots and bride-to-be posts, but nothing revealing about the actual wedding plans. Then I found her Pinterest. Jennifer had always been careless about her privacy settings, and her wedding Pinterest board was public. As I scrolled through, my stomach dropped. There were pictures of elaborate centerpieces for tables of 10, seating chart templates for 200-plus guests, photos of massive dance floors and multi-tiered cakes that could feed a small army. This was not a small, intimate wedding. I spent the next hour going through every pin, every comment, every saved idea. The vision Jennifer was creating was for a full-blown celebration with hundreds of guests, a live band, past hors d'oeuvres, and a cocktail hour that probably cost more than my monthly salary. The worst part? In all of her detailed planning, from the color-coordinated bridesmaid dresses to the carefully chosen table linens, there was no mention of me anywhere. No maid of honor duties boards, no sister appreciation pins, nothing that indicated I was even part of this wedding. I closed my laptop and sat in my dark living room, trying to process what I'd discovered. My sister was planning a massive wedding and had somehow convinced the entire family to lie to me about it. But why? The answer came to me Tuesday morning when Mom called while I was getting ready for work. "Honey, I need to ask you a tiny favor," she said in that voice that meant the favor was anything but tiny. "Jennifer's having trouble with some of the wedding vendor payments. You know how these places want deposits and everything. Could you maybe help her out, just temporarily, until her bonus comes through next month?" And there it was. The reason for all the secrecy, all the lies about the small ceremony. They needed my money, but they didn't actually want me at the celebration it would fund. "How much does she need, Mom?" "Well, the caterer wants $3,000 by Friday and the florist needs $1,500. Oh, and there's the photographer deposit. That's another $2,000. $6,500 for a small, intimate wedding. Mom, that's a lot of money for 50 people. There was a pause. "Well, you know how these wedding vendors are. They charge the same whether it's 50 people or 100. 100. The number kept growing. "Of course I'll help Jennifer," I heard myself saying, even as my heart was breaking. "I'll transfer the money tonight." "You're such a good sister, Amanda. Jennifer is so lucky to have you." Lucky to have someone to fund her dream wedding while keeping them off the guest list, apparently. That evening, I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop open, staring at my banking app. $6,500 was a significant chunk of my savings, money I'd been putting aside for a down payment on a house. But this was family. This was Jennifer's special day. I made the transfer. The next few weeks passed in a blur of wedding preparations that I was somehow both central to and completely excluded from. Jennifer would call me for vendor recommendations, and I'd spend hours researching the perfect photographers and florists. Mom would ask me to pick up things for the wedding, and I'd drive all over town finding specific types of candles or ribbon colors. But I was never included in the actual decision-making, never invited to the dress shopping trips I saw on Instagram, never included in the bridesmaid group chat that Jennifer accidentally mentioned during one of our phone calls. "Oh, you have a bridesmaid group chat?" I asked, trying to keep my voice light. "Just for coordinating things, you know. Hair and makeup appointments, that sort of thing." "That makes sense. I should probably be in it too, right? For coordination?" Another pause. "Well, you're not technically a bridesmaid, so..." The words hit me like a physical blow. I wasn't a bridesmaid. I wasn't in the wedding party at all. I was just the bank. "Right," I managed. "Of course." 2 weeks before the wedding, I finally got confirmation of what I'd suspected all along. I was at coffee with my cousin Sarah, the only family member who'd ever been completely honest with me, when she let something slip. "I can't believe Jennifer managed to get the Fairmont for her wedding. That place books up 2 years in advance." The Fairmont, the most expensive venue in the city, the place that charged $15,000 just for the reception hall. "Yeah, it's beautiful," I said carefully. "Mom mentioned they were keeping it small, though." Sarah looked at me strangely. "Small?" "Amanda, there are over 200 people invited. I helped Jennifer stuff envelopes last weekend. My hand was cramping for days." The world tilted. 200 people. All this time, while I was being told about the intimate gathering, my sister was planning a massive celebration and had somehow managed to convince everyone to lie to me about it. "Sarah," I said slowly, "am I invited to this wedding?" Her face went pale. "Oh my God. Amanda, you don't know." "Know what?" "The wedding is adults only. Jennifer decided she wanted an elegant, sophisticated affair without any children running around. But then your mom said you've been so stressed with work lately, and maybe it would be better if you just came to the family dinner afterwards." family dinner. While 200 guests celebrated at the Fairmont, I was expected to show up for leftovers and small talk. When is this family dinner? The Sunday after, just immediate family, very casual. I nodded, my mind strangely calm. That sounds nice. But inside, I was falling apart. 35 years of being the reliable daughter, the helpful sister, the one who showed up for everyone else, and this was my reward. I was good enough to fund the wedding, coordinate the vendors, and handle the logistics, but not good enough to actually attend. That night, I sat in my apartment looking at my bank statements. Over the past 6 months, I'd contributed almost $15,000 to Jennifer's wedding in various forms. Direct payments to vendors, loans that were never discussed again, picking up tabs for wedding-related dinners and shopping trips. $15,000 for a wedding I wasn't invited to. I opened my laptop and started typing. First, I sent polite emails to every vendor I'd paid, requesting detailed invoices and payment records. Then, I took screenshots of every text message where Jennifer or Mom had asked for money. Finally, I logged into my social media accounts and started scrolling through months of posts about wedding planning, family dinners, and casual mentions of Jennifer's big day. The evidence was overwhelming. I had single-handedly funded my sister's dream wedding and been systematically excluded from every aspect of the celebration. But what hurt most wasn't the money or even the exclusion. It was the realization that my family saw me as a resource, not a person. I was useful for my organizational skills and my bank account, but I wasn't someone they actually wanted to celebrate with. The breaking point came 3 days before the wedding. I was at Mom and Dad's house dropping off the wedding favors I'd assembled, because of course that had become my job too, when Jennifer arrived with her maid of honor. "Amanda!" Jennifer squealed, giving me a quick hug. "These look perfect. You're amazing." Her maid of honor, a woman I'd never met before, smiled at me politely. "You must be the sister Jennifer's always talking about. She says you're like her personal wedding planner." "Something like that," I said. "Are you so excited for Saturday? Jennifer says it's going to be absolutely magical." The silence stretched uncomfortably. Jennifer's face went red, and I could see Mom hovering in the doorway, clearly listening. "Actually," I said carefully, "I won't be attending the ceremony. It's adults only, and I'll be at the family dinner on Sunday instead." The maid of honor looked confused. "Adults only? But you're an adult, and you're her sister?" "It's complicated," Jennifer said quickly. "Amanda's been so busy with work, and we thought it would be better if she just came to the quiet family celebration," Mom interrupted, materializing at Jennifer's shoulder. "More relaxing for everyone." I watched this performance with a strange sense of detachment. My family was lying to a complete stranger to cover up the fact that they'd excluded me from the wedding I'd helped plan and pay for. "That makes sense," I said, my voice eerily calm. "I should get going. Lots to do before the big day." I hugged Jennifer goodbye, knowing it would be the last time for a very long while. As I walked to my car, I could hear them talking in low voices behind me, probably strategizing about how to handle the awkward situation I'd just created. That night, I did something I'd never done before. I booked a trip without telling anyone. Iceland had always been on my bucket list. All those photos of the northern lights and geothermal pools looked like paradise. I found a last-minute deal on a flight leaving Friday morning, the day before Jennifer's wedding. The return ticket was open-ended. For the first time in months, I felt something that wasn't anger or hurt or confusion. I felt free. As I packed my bags, I thought about all the family events I'd organized over the years, all the birthdays where I'd baked the cakes and coordinated the surprise parties, all the holidays where I'd bought the gifts and handled the meal planning, all the times I'd been the glue holding everyone together. What would happen if the glue just left? I was about to find out. I woke up in Reykjavik to complete silence. Not the kind of silence you get at home, where you're still listening for the phone to ring with another family crisis or emergency that somehow became your responsibility. This was pure, crystalline quiet that seemed to wrap around me like a warm blanket. My hotel room overlooked the harbor, and through the window I could see fishing boats bobbing gently in the morning light. The sky was that particular shade of gray that promised either rain or magic. Maybe both. I checked my phone out of habit and saw 17 missed calls from Mom, 12 from Jennifer, and 43 unread text messages. I turned the phone face down and went to take a shower. The hot water felt like baptism. For the first time in months, I wasn't mentally running through a checklist of things I needed to do for other people. No vendor calls to make, no family drama to mediate, no last-minute emergencies to solve. Just hot water, lavender soap, and the strange sensation of existing purely for myself. I took my time getting dressed, choosing clothes for comfort rather than the professional appearance I usually maintained. Jeans, a soft sweater, and hiking boots I'd bought years ago, but never had time to break in. Looking in the mirror, I barely recognized myself. When was the last time I'd dressed for my own pleasure instead of other people's expectations? Downstairs in the hotel restaurant, I ordered the full Icelandic breakfast: fish, dark bread, strange cheese, and coffee that was stronger than anything I'd ever tasted. The waitress, a cheerful woman about my age, chatted with me about local hiking trails and the best spots to see the northern lights. "You're traveling alone?" she asked, not with pity but with something that looked like admiration. "Yes," I said, and the word felt powerful in my mouth. Just me. How wonderful. Solo travel is the best education. You learn who you really are when no one is watching. Who I really was. I'd spent so many years being what everyone else needed that I'd forgotten I was a person with my own wants and desires. Amanda the reliable daughter, Amanda the helpful sister, Amanda the problem solver. But who was Amanda when she was just Amanda? I decided to find out. After breakfast, I walked through downtown Reykjavik with no particular destination in mind. The city was small enough that you couldn't really get lost, which felt perfect for someone who'd spent her entire life being everyone else's GPS. I wandered into bookshops and art galleries, tried on sweaters I'd never wear at home, and bought postcards I might never send. It was in a small cafe near the harbor that I finally looked at my phone. The messages were exactly what I'd expected. Mom's increasingly frantic texts about vendor emergencies, and Jennifer's complete meltdown about everything falling apart. But as I scrolled through them, something strange happened. Instead of my usual anxiety spike and overwhelming urge to fix everything, I felt nothing. Or not nothing, exactly. I felt peaceful. "Amanda, where are you? The florist can't find the emergency contact info, and Jennifer is crying." "Mom, 7:23 a.m. The caterer called and there's some issue with the payment processing. They need to talk to you ASAP. Jennifer, 7:45 a.m. This is ridiculous. You can't just disappear the day before my wedding. Call me. Jennifer, 8:15 a.m. Honey, please call back. We need you. Mom, 8:30 a.m. I sipped my coffee, some amazing Icelandic blend that tasted like Christmas morning, and continued scrolling. The desperation in their messages was escalating with each hour, and I was starting to understand something fundamental about my family dynamic that I'd never seen clearly before. They needed me, but only as a function, not as a person. For 35 years, I'd been the family's infrastructure, the invisible foundation that kept everything running smoothly. They'd become so dependent on my organizational skills and financial backup that they'd forgotten I was a human being with feelings and needs of my own. And now, for the first time ever, the infrastructure had walked away. Around noon, Iceland time, which meant the wedding was only hours away, my cousin Sarah called. "Amanda, thank God," she said when I answered. "Where are you? Everyone's freaking out." "I'm in Iceland." "You're where?" "Iceland, Reykjavik specifically. It's beautiful here, Sarah. You should visit sometime." There was a long pause. "Amanda, Jennifer's wedding is today. They need you. Something went wrong with the catering timeline, and nobody has the vendor contact list except you." I looked out the cafe window at the harbor, where seagulls were diving for fish and tourists were taking pictures of everything. "That sounds stressful for them." "Amanda." Sarah's voice was careful now, like she was talking to someone who might be having a breakdown. "Are you okay? This isn't like you." "Maybe that's the problem," I said. "Maybe I've been so focused on being helpful that I forgot to be happy." "But it's Jennifer's wedding day." Yes, it is. Jennifer's wedding day. The wedding she planned without me, paid for with my money, and explicitly didn't invite me to attend. Another pause. I heard about that. It's messed up, Amanda. I tried to talk to Aunt Patricia about it, but family is family, right? And I'm supposed to just accept being treated like an ATM machine with organizational skills. No, that's not what I meant. Sarah, can I ask you something? In all the years you've known me, have you ever seen me do something just for myself? Something that made me happy without regard for whether it was helpful to the family? The silence stretched so long I thought we'd been disconnected. I can't think of anything, she finally admitted. Neither can I, but I'm doing it now. After I hung up, I walked down to the harbor and bought a ticket for a whale watching tour. It seemed like something the old Amanda would never do. Spending money on herself, taking time for pure enjoyment, doing something spontaneous and completely impractical. The boat was small and the sea was rough, but standing at the rail with salt spray on my face, I felt more alive than I had in years. When a family of humpback whales surfaced near our boat, their massive forms breaking through the gray water in perfect synchronization, I actually started crying. Not from sadness, but from joy. Pure, uncomplicated joy that belonged entirely to me. One of the other passengers, an older German woman traveling with her husband, noticed my tears and offered me a tissue. "Beautiful, yes?" she said in accented English. "Yes," I managed. "Beautiful." "You know what I love most about whales?" she continued. "They travel thousands of miles following their own path. No one tells them where to go or how to live. They just are." I nodded, understanding exactly what she meant. That evening, back in my hotel room, I finally turned my phone back on. The messages had multiplied exponentially. Apparently, the wedding had been a disaster. Without my vendor contact list, nobody could reach the catering manager when they were running 2 hours behind schedule. The florist had delivered the wrong flowers to the wrong venue because I was the one who usually confirmed deliveries. The photographer, who I'd booked and paid the deposit for, hadn't received the final timeline and was confused about when and where to set up. But most telling of all were the messages about money. The caterer was demanding the final payment before serving dinner. The band wanted their fee before starting the reception. Several vendors were calling the emergency contact number, my number, because their checks hadn't cleared yet. It turned out that in their rush to plan the perfect wedding while keeping me in the dark, Jennifer and Mom had forgotten one crucial detail. I was the one with all the vendor relationships, all the contact information, and apparently, all the financial responsibility. "Amanda, you have to help us." Jennifer's latest voice message was teary and desperate. "Everything is falling apart. The guests are getting restless and I don't know who to call. Please, I'm begging you. I know we messed up, but it's my wedding day." I sat on my hotel bed, looking out at the Icelandic sunset, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold, and felt something shift inside me. This wasn't about revenge. This wasn't about punishment or getting back at them for hurting me. This was about recognition. For the first time in their lives, my family was experiencing what happened when they didn't have Amanda to fix everything. They were learning in real time exactly how much I'd been doing for them and how little they'd valued it. I crafted a single text message and sent it to the family group chat. "I'm safe and having a wonderful time in Iceland. The vendor contact information is in the blue folder in my desk drawer at home. The key is under the plant by the front door. Enjoy the celebration. Amanda." Then I turned my phone off completely. The next morning, I booked a tour to see the Northern Lights. The irony wasn't lost on me. While my family was probably dealing with the aftermath of their disaster wedding, I was literally chasing magic in the sky. The tour guide, a young Icelandic man named Eric, was fascinated by the fact that I was traveling alone. "Most people come here with partners or friends," he said as we drove out to a remote location away from the city lights. "Solo travelers are special. They're brave enough to face themselves." "I'm not sure I'm brave," I said. "I think I might just be tired. Sometimes tired and brave look the same from the outside." We spent 3 hours in the dark, drinking hot chocolate from thermoses and watching the sky. And then it happened. Ribbons of green light began dancing across the darkness, shifting and swirling like something alive. "Oh my God," I whispered. "The aurora borealis," Eric said. "The locals believe it's the spirits of those who came before us, dancing to show us that there's magic in letting go." I stood there in the Icelandic wilderness, watching the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen, and realized that this moment belonged entirely to me. No family drama, no obligations, no one else's needs to consider. Just me and the dancing lights and the profound sense that I was exactly where I was supposed to be. When I finally turned my phone back on the next day, there were 127 new messages. The wedding, according to various family members and friends, had been an unmitigated disaster. The dinner was served 3 hours late. The wrong flowers had to be hastily rearranged by Jennifer's bridesmaids. The photographer missed the ceremony entirely and only showed up for the reception. Several vendors left without providing their services because of payment issues, but the worst part, according to multiple sources, was that everyone kept asking where I was. "Where's Amanda?" seemed to have been the question of the day. Guests who expected to see me there, vendors who were used to dealing with me directly. Even some of Jennifer's friends who'd heard so much about her amazing sister were confused by my absence. My cousin Sarah sent the most detailed update. "Amanda, I have to tell you what happened. The whole day was chaos, but the worst part was watching your family realize what they'd done. When the third vendor asked for you specifically, your mom just broke down crying in the bathroom. She kept saying, 'We ruined everything. We ruined Amanda's relationship with us for a party.'" Jennifer spent most of her reception dealing with logistics instead of celebrating. She kept saying Amanda would know what to do, and why didn't we just include Amanda in everything? By the end of the night, she was more upset about your absence than she was happy about getting married. Your dad, who never shows emotion about anything, actually said out loud that they'd taken advantage of the best person in the family. People are still talking about it. Not about how beautiful the wedding was or how happy the couple looked, but about how everything fell apart and how much they all missed you. I read this message while eating breakfast at a little restaurant in downtown Reykjavik and felt a complex mix of emotions. There was satisfaction, yes. Validation that my contributions had been real and significant, even if they'd been unappreciated. But there was also sadness for the family I'd thought I knew and the sister I'd loved unconditionally for so many years. Most surprisingly, though, there was relief. Relief that I'd finally stepped away. Relief that I'd chosen myself for once. Relief that I was sitting in a beautiful place, eating delicious food and living my own life instead of managing everyone else's. That afternoon, I got a call from Jennifer. Not a text, not a voicemail, but an actual phone call. I almost didn't answer, but something in me was curious to hear what she had to say. "Amanda," she said, and her voice was different. Smaller, more vulnerable than I'd heard it in years. "I'm so sorry." I waited. "I know saying sorry doesn't fix anything. I know I treated you terribly. But I need you to know that I understand now, not just about the wedding, but about everything, about how much you do for all of us and how little we appreciate it." "Jennifer, no, let me finish, please. I spent my entire wedding day realizing how much I depend on you and not just for organizing things. You're the heart of this family, Amanda. You're the one who remembers birthdays and sends thank you notes and makes sure everyone feels included. And we excluded you from the most important day of my life." I looked out at the Icelandic landscape, all volcanic rock and surprising green, and tried to find words. "The worst part," Jennifer continued, "is that I convinced myself it was for your own good, that you'd be stressed out by a big wedding, that you'd prefer the quiet family dinner, that you'd want to help from behind the scenes instead of being a bridesmaid. But that was all just me protecting myself from feeling guilty about what I really wanted, which was a perfect wedding without any complications. And you represent reality, Amanda. You're the one who asks practical questions and points out problems and makes sure everything actually works. I wanted the fantasy, and fantasies don't include practical people who might point out that I was spending money I didn't have on a party that was more about impressing other people than celebrating love. This was the most honest conversation Jennifer and I had ever had. "I don't know how to fix this," she said finally. "I don't know how to make up for 35 years of taking you for granted, but I want to try, if you'll let me." I was quiet for a long time, watching tourists walk by my cafe window, bundled up against the Icelandic wind. "Jennifer, I need you to understand something. This isn't about the wedding. The wedding was just the final thing that made me realize I've been living my life for everyone else except myself." "I know." "Do you? Because for this to work, for us to have any kind of relationship going forward, things have to change fundamentally. I can't be the family's unpaid event coordinator anymore. I can't be the one who drops everything to solve everyone else's problems. I can't be the person you call when you need money or help or someone to handle the things you don't want to deal with. I understand, and I need time, real time, to figure out who I am when I'm not constantly managing other people's lives." "How much time?" I looked around at the cafe, at the Icelandic art on the walls and the locals chatting in their beautiful, impossible language, and made a decision that surprised even me. "I'm extending my trip. I don't know for how long yet. Maybe a month, maybe longer. I'm going to travel and see things and do stuff I've never had time for, and when I'm ready to come home, I'll come home. But things are going to be different." Jennifer was crying now. I could hear it in her voice. "Okay, whatever you need. Just don't disappear forever, okay? I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I love you, Amanda. I really do." "I love you too," I said and meant it. But love without respect isn't enough anymore. After we hung up, I walked down to the harbor and bought postcards. For the first time in my life, I sent cards to myself. Silly tourist postcards with pictures of puffins and geysers, each one addressed to Amanda Wilson with a simple message: "You are enough. You are worthy. You deserve beautiful things." When the family dinner was supposed to happen, the consolation prize Sunday gathering where I was meant to make do with leftovers and casual conversation, I was hiking to a waterfall called Skogafoss. The trail was challenging, but every step felt like a choice I was making for myself. At the top, looking down at the thundering water and the rainbow that formed in its mist, I thought about the woman I'd been just a week ago, the one who measured her worth by how useful she was to other people, the one who'd never taken a spontaneous trip or prioritized her own happiness or believed she deserved to take up space in her own life. That woman felt like a stranger now. My phone buzzed with a message from Sarah. "Family dinner was pretty depressing without you. Your parents spent the whole time talking about how they want to make things right. Jennifer showed everyone pictures from Iceland on your Instagram. Everyone agrees you look happier than you have in years." I did look happier. I felt happier. For the first time in my adult life, I was living for myself, and it was simultaneously the scariest and most exhilarating thing I'd ever done. That night, I video called my best friend from nursing school, Kate, who lived in Seattle. I hadn't talked to her in months because I'd been so consumed with family obligations. "Amanda, oh my God, you look amazing. And is that Iceland behind you?" I told her everything. The whole story, from the wedding lies to the financial manipulation to my great escape. Kate listened without interrupting, her expressions shifting from shock to anger to pride. "I'm so proud of you," she said when I finished. "Do you have any idea how brave this is? Most people spend their whole lives being who their families need them to be instead of who they actually are. I'm terrified I'm being selfish." "Amanda, you've spent 35 years being selfless to the point of self-destruction. I think you've earned the right to be a little selfish." We talked for 2 hours about everything and nothing, about my plans to maybe extend my trip even longer, possibly visiting Scotland and Norway, about Kate's life and her recent promotion and the book she was writing, about the friendship we'd let slide because I'd been so consumed with family drama. "Come visit me in Seattle when you get back," Kate said. Or hell, come visit me here and then go back to Iceland. You don't owe anyone a timeline for your healing. After we hung up, I opened my laptop and started researching extended travel options, apartment rentals in different cities, language classes in places I'd always wanted to visit, work opportunities for American nurses abroad. For the first time in my life, the world felt wide open with possibilities instead of narrow and constrained by other people's expectations. I thought about Jennifer's wedding disaster and felt something I hadn't expected: gratitude. Not gratitude for the way they'd treated me, but gratitude for the wake-up call. If they hadn't excluded me so completely, I might have spent the rest of my life being their useful, invisible support system. Instead, I was sitting in a hotel room in Iceland, planning an adventure that belonged entirely to me, finally understanding that my value as a person wasn't determined by how much I could do for other people. The aurora borealis was visible from my hotel window that night, just a faint green glow on the horizon, but unmistakably magical. I watched it dance across the sky and thought about the Icelandic belief that the lights were spirits showing us the magic in letting go. I'd let go of my old life, my old patterns, my old definition of love and family and responsibility. And in the space that created, something new was growing, something that was mine alone. My phone sat silent on the nightstand. No emergency calls to answer, no crises to solve, no one else's needs to prioritize over my own. Just silence and northern lights, and the profound peace of a woman who'd finally learned the difference between being needed and being valued. Tomorrow, I would book an extended stay in Iceland and start planning the rest of my adventure. But tonight, I was content to sit with the silence and the dancing lights and the revolutionary understanding that I was enough, exactly as I was, without doing anything for anyone else. For the first time in my life, I was truly, completely free.